Okay, 2017 Wayfarer, we're going to show you some things outside. We have our LP tank here. LP tank, this is your shutoff valve right here. So if you have an emergency or you need to put this in storage, it's always advised that you turn it off in this direction toward the right, open it slowly to the left to open it up. So now we can run all the propane appliances on our coach. This gauge goes to a gauge inside, so we'll be able to look at the level inside. When you get it filled, they'll fill it here, and they're going to vent it there, and they only fill these to an 80% level, allow for expansion. But just remember, if your LP alarm is going off inside, always come out here and shut this off. Or if you're going through a tunnel or your construction site that says extinguish all appliances or flames, you can turn that off right there. So we got it on now. So the next compartment here is our black tank, our gray tank dump. So you'll take your sewer hose, run it through the porthole, and you can rotate this down and then take the cap off, connect your sewer hose. Okay, so you want to dump the black valve first, then the black tank, let that flow out, and then you can open up your gray and let that flow out and empty that next. That will help clean out your hose. And you also have a black tank flush right over here. And so right here, you'll see it. It's got the white actual knob on it here. The one on the left is actually your city water input, so we don't want to get those two confused. So black tank flush is here. Anytime you have a garden hose hooked up to there or some other hose beside your drinking hose, you always want to open the black valve when you're doing that and be in attendance of it. So don't get distracted and leave it shut. You're going to fill up your black tank and it's got to go somewhere. So it's going to come out of your vents and it'll find its way out. So that'll be a mess. So be careful when you flush. You flush at least one time while you're at the campsite so you have the dump available. Next thing we're going to hook up is our water. So we're going to bring our city water in. It's going to come in. It's going to come up and connect to here. I always advise that you get a right angle brass adapter, screw onto there and make that hose come up directly and connect to it. That way we don't have to make a bend in our hose and kink the hose. So once I've got my water hooked up, I can do several things with this manifold valve. I can fill up the freshwater tank, and that's called city filled tank. So if I want to fill it, I'm just going to switch her down like that. You'll hear it snap. So now the water coming in is going to fill up the freshwater tank. When I get as much water as I need, you can fill it all the way up, or you can fill it up a third if you're going to just travel with it to the next campsite. When you're done, go back to normal use if you're going to go to dry camping. So when you're running off the freshwater tank, we're in normal use. If you're on city water, you want to go over here to where it says city fixtures. So now the pressure is going to come in. That's going to pressurize all the hot and cold lines in the coach. But when we're dry camping, just running off the freshwater tank, again, you can go back to normal. And now when I turn on the water pump, it's going to prime up the pump, and I'll have water pressure at all my taps, just like that. Okay, so there's one more setting on here. It's called winterize or sanitize or winterize. We can hook a hose up to this same inlet, run that down into a bucket of bleaching water or vinegar and water, turn on the pump, and that's going to suck up the solution into the coach in the hot and cold lines. Let that sit for about 15 minutes and then flush it out with water. We can also do the same thing with when we go to winterize. We can also suck up RV antifreeze through the coach and throughout the lines, and that will winterize your coach. Okay. I do have low point drains in here, so I've got a hot and a cold line, and you can see they're under pressure right now. But when you go to winterize your coach and drain all the water out, you're going to open these valves, and then there's another one on the other side that you can open up for the freshwater tank to drain it as well. So just remember, you've got this valve that's a manifold valve. It's going to direct your water and tell you what you need to do. The one on the right is for your water heater. So when we do winterize, we can actually bypass the water heater. So now when we put antifreeze in here, it's not going to go to the water heater. We're just going to run it through the lines in the coach. But right now we have water in the water heater, so we'll go back to the normal position for that valve. Okay. We're live. Okay, so we're talking about tire pressure. Look inside the data plate here on the tag. We got 61 PSI for the tires. You got a single up front, and you got duals in the back. And the duals have valve extenders on them. You'll see this right here. So that brings the, makes it easy to check the tire pressure on the inside dual and the outside one. So that's where you got to do it. All right, so we're looking at this compartment here. This has got our 30 amp short cord in it. And has just a little surge guard that it goes through right here. This is a transfer switch. It's going to switch you between generator and short cord. And if I turned on the generator, it would always switch to that as priority. But you can just take the cord and pull it up through the opening here and wrap it up in here and store any kind of adapter you might have. You can also buy the power adapter for this and take you down from 30 amps down to 15 or 20 if you just got a garage outlet at home or somewhere you want to keep the batteries charged, be able to keep the fridge on and keep the lights running. Those adapters that go down to 15 or 20 amp, it doesn't recommend that you run the air conditioner on that. That's your heavy load, and so it's just made to really keep your batteries charged. The generator here. So in this back compartment we have a water filter. This is a whole house water filter for the water coming in. So any of the city water that's hooked up, there's a canister here that's got a filter located inside of it. On the left is a slide out controller. Controls the rear slide. You can override that and put it in manual mode. Just have to read the instructions on it. Right here at the top is our gravity fill for the water. So when you want to fill your tank, you can actually bring the hose up and put it in here, and that's going to fill up the freshwater tank on board. And this is a good place too to add bleaching water or anything else as well to the freshwater tank when you want to sanitize. So I'm going to work my way over here. I wanted to show you where the drain was for the freshwater tank, and so we have that right there. So that'll drain your freshwater tank. Try to keep that fresh, no more than 2 or 3 weeks probably, and then we'll refresh it with new water. We're going to talk about the generator. This is a diesel generator. Runs off the main fuel tank. The diesel generator does have an hour meter inside, so we can tell how many hours we got on the generator. I can check the oil right here. This is important. We always want to check the oil before we run it. The service has already been done on this, so you can go out now another 150 hours. If the engine's running out here, you need to stop the engine. You can do it. There's no switch out here for stopping the generator or starting it. But you can grab that lever and go left like that, and that'll shut off the fuel. You have a fill right here. There's no oil filter when you do the service, but you got an air cleaner right here. If somebody's changing out the air cleaner, just be aware and be careful that there's a temperature sensor that's slid right in here in the corner. You do not want to pull the wires out of it. You'll be replacing that temperature sensor. But yeah, there's a lockout button here as well, so when somebody changes the oil, and the drain is right up underneath it here, so you've got a little drain plug that you can open up, drain the oil out. And when you need numbers for the air filter and the type of oil, it's right here on the side. And you can see it holds about 0.7 quarts, not very much oil. And then you got your numbers for your air cleaner and your fuel filter eventually. So, but right now we're just concerned about the oil and the air filter. And it's 15W40 oil that you would use in this. By the way, this runs off the main fuel tank, and it's got a quarter tank pickup. So when you get a quarter tank level on your fuel gauge up front on the diesel, this will shut off for you so you don't run yourself out of fuel. We're going to come up to this compartment. This is the water heater. This water heater runs off both LP and electric. And this is your drain plug here, so when you want to drain the water heater, it's recommended when you put it in storage and you're not using it, go ahead and drain it, or a couple of times a year just to get the sediment that might be in it out. The controls for this are inside on the switches, and since it runs on LP or electric, LP takes about 15 minutes to heat up for a full tank. Electric will take you about an hour, but you can run it on both heat sources if you're trying to catch up water faster and trying to have it faster recovery rate. You can do that. So everything's electronic ignition, so we don't have to light a pilot out here at all. But this is a 6-gallon water heater. Okay, we're going to pop the hood. The hood latch is on the left-hand side of the driver's leg. We're going to pull that. That releases the hood up front. going to open the hood. Little release lever on the left-hand side of the hood. When you come up, make sure that the hood prop drops down into place, and then we're going to go left to right here. I got a new cabin air filter in here. The air's coming in here, getting filtered, going into the dash air. You always want to check the oil here. We run a full synthetic 030 weight Mobile 1 in this, and the oil has been serviced on this. The engine's been serviced, so you're good for another 20,000 miles or 1 year, whichever comes first. Well, being a 17, maybe this is 10,000 miles. I think that's proper. 10,000 miles on this. This is engine coolant. This is called Mercedes Pink. You do need to put DEF fluid in these. I have a tank of DEF fluid right down here. It's about 4.5 gallons. It's put in right here, and there is when you put this in, you can get this at all your Walmarts, all your auto parts stores. You can also get this at the truck stops, and they'll have a nozzle that you can fill this in and swipe your card. Over here on the right, I got power steering fluid right here, brake fluid, and then of course washer fluid. And these headlights have the headlight washers that pop out. And to use that, you need to have the headlights in the manual position, and then operate your wiper washers, and that'll pop out and clean the headlights in there. All right, so just remember, 1 year, 10,000 miles on this engine for the service. Your service has already been done, so you're good for a while. This has a clear mask on the front of it too. See, it wraps around the body here, and there's the line of it. So try to keep the bugs off of it as fast as you can if they get on there. There's a step down here that you see. You also have a place in here you can put a tow hook that's in your toolkit. If you ever get stuck in the mud or the snow bank or something you need to get pulled out, or pulled up onto a flatbed if need be. All your slide outs on the Tiffins have the slide topper up top. Walk around here too. You've also got a backup camera. The very back that'll come on when you hit reverse. LP furnace out here. This is operated inside off the thermostat, and you want to try to keep dirt, daubers, and wasps from building up in there. They do make dauber screens for this that you can purchase and get that or put that on. That will stop them from getting in there and building. We're going to open up the refrigerator right quick. This is the lid for the refrigerator. So just want to simply show you, this is where the electrical for the refrigerator hooks up. This operates off electric and LP, and from time to time you can come out here, get you some air pressure, and you can clean up the burner in here, blow out this and keep this clean. But when you look in here, this is a little sight window. When you look into there and you've got it on LP, this should have a nice crisp blue flame that you see up in there. Let's see if it switched. That's why I unplugged the electric, just to see if it would switch. Okay, so the controls for this are inside, and most people run this in the automatic mode, just so that we can allow it to do the switching between LP and electric. So when you drive, this is going to switch to electric, to LP, or if you have your generator on or you plug in slow power, it's going to go to electric. Outside, we have a television. And this television will pull out and swivel, so you can move it around. It's got a magnet that holds it back into place. There's a key on your key ring. I will lock this up. This is all pretty much storage here. You have outside speakers as well that run off of the radio inside. And inside of here you have an inverter. The inverter takes the 12-volt house power and converts it to 120s to basically to run our TVs inside. So when we're dry camping or boondocking, we can turn on the inverter right at the door here and be able to enjoy those TVs. This is a sensor for the leveling system. For the cut that. That's what it is, equalizer leveling system. That's part of the controls, the sensors for it. So you see you have a motorized step, and the motorized step has a step switch right here on the left-hand side. I've got the switch turned off, so that's going to lock the step out. When I turn on the step, every time you open and close the door, that would power it up and pull it in. Keep in mind that when you're camping, you're probably going to want the step out. And then when you go and turn on the ignition, that's going to override the switch and pull in the step for safety as you drive. So it'll always stay in. There's another switch on here. It's the battery switch. So this is your what we call a salesman switch. So this allows you, if you had everything turned on the inside and you're going to stop and put this in storage, so you could reach and hit this and turn it off when you're not plugged into shore power. That will turn everything inside off. So be aware too that most of the time you have to have that battery switch turned on, even if you're plugged in order to start your generator up in the back, since it runs off the house power. I'm going to lift up the step cover. So these are the house batteries that are in place. They do have caps on them, so you have distilled water in those. So you need to check those a couple of times a year at least, and always use distilled water. But they're 12-volt batteries, each one of them. They're tied together to be paralleled, so it just increases your capacity. And when you look into here, there is a breaker right in behind them. So if that ever trips, it's a 200 amp breaker. There's a little lever arm. You can just reach under and pull it back up and snap it into place, and you're back in business. But that is there for protection. So there's a master light switch here that you see. So I can turn all the lights off in one place. There's also one of these in the bedroom. So when you go to sleep and retire at night, you can turn them all off in one place. Okay, we're going to go inside. And once we're inside, we're going to go ahead. This coach has two stabilizer legs that come down, and we're going to actually switch on the power here, and then we're going to extend the legs. So I hit the down button on the right hand side. That's going to put the two legs down. They're like grasshopper legs. They come down and put pressure on the ground and keep this thing stable going left to right. So that's the operation right there. And if you have the legs down and you come in and you turn on the ignition and put it in drive and take off the parking brake and get ready to go with the legs down, it should automatically retract those and pull them up. And once the legs are down, you can see it stabilizes the rig, so we don't have any more of that side-to-side sway or shake. You can just turn off the power right there if you need to. That way nobody can reach over here and hit the switch accidentally and pull them up while you're camping. So the first thing we're going to do, I've got the stabilizers down, is I'm going to run the room out. And normally on these, if you look at the panel, this is your control panel. You're going to come over here to the center, and this is your home position. So we're looking at the tanks here. We've got 67 in the fresh, and black and gray, we're going to empty those out, and those will be empty. And then we have LP is 95%. This is the house battery here, 13.7. Battery voltage is very important in an RV. If you don't have good house batteries to run everything, a lot of stuff in here is not going to run. So that's why it's so important to keep up with the water level and making sure you have charging on the house battery. Now the house battery is charged when you're plugged in, or if the generator's running, or if the engine's running, or if you're out in the sun and you have solar panels, it'll charge it that way as well if you have panels. So I'm looking down here. I'm going to turn on my water pump just so I'll have water pressure at all the taps. I'm going to look at the slide out control. So this will allow me to do the sofa extension, and so I'm going to make sure everything's clear left and right, that the seat's not too back too far. We want to put this little partition up because it does kind of come down and sorry, contact this. We're going to put this up and get it out of the way. Yeah. All right, hold down the extension button here, retract. If you look down, these conditions have to be met. So the ignition has to be on and the parking brake set. So we just have to turn on the ignition. Okay, so we'll come back down and set our legs here. But you see the example of turning on the ignition, that's going to pull up the legs. So what we'll do in this case, we'll run the room out first. Then we'll put our stabilizer legs down. We'll let them fully retract. Okay, so we're ready to go now. So now I can extend my sofa. With this system on the slide out, you're just gonna get it all the way to the wall You wait for both motors to stop making noise or sound, and then you're going to let off the button. You'll be fully extended. Same as when you pull it in. You just want the slide sealed up around the wall, around the opening, so no water, no wind comes in. Okay. So I've also got a rear slide here that you see. So I'm going to go ahead and extend that. I can also extend it here in the back. I've got a button right down here, so if I needed to, I can come and take a look, make sure nothing's in the way, and run my rear slide. In the bathroom, ceramic bowl. You got a full ceramic bowl here, easy to clean up. This is where you actually drop your chemical in the black tank, so we'll be adding chemical in here. And then when you want to actually flush it, hold down on the pedal for a little bit to add water, all the way down and flush it. Okay, but just remember, always use some toilet paper in this, some septic safe, and put it in that, and then your chemicals goes down the toilet. Every time you dump your black tank, you'll need to put new chemical down. You got another vent fan here. You got a shower with a shut off on the back of it. It's real nice. Shower curtain. You got a laboratory over here on the left hand side. So water, hot, cold. Okay. This couch, and I'm going to lift this couch up like this. It pulls out toward me. When you want to make a little bed out of this thing, the legs down. Real fast and real simple. We're just going to flip this over. Boom. Put any kind of bedding on it. Makes up a nice bed. Really quick and easy to do. Real fast. Put that in. That down. There we go. Another exit window operates the same as the rear. Just lift up on the red handles. Push the window out at the center frame. And that's how you would escape. So when we're talking about safety, got a fire extinguisher here by the door. A smoke detector up here, top. Check it. Battery, 9-volt battery in that. And then down below, in the bedroom, on this wall, you can see there's a green light on the LP detector at the floor. So LP is usually heavier than air, so it settles down to the floor. That's why they put them low. And then that's also a CO detector. So when you got carbon monoxide, and also. Okay, so let's talk about up here with driving just a little bit. Being a diesel. Okay, so up front we do have privacy shades, so we can release those here. If these little additional locks are engaged and disengage those, you'll be able to pull that loose. I'm going to pull this loose. This will come all the way to the center, all the way to the center, and then they just snap together with magnets. So here on the side, you need to do the side as well. These haven't been opened in a while, so those will pull closed. And just kind of work them to the side. And boom. So there we got all our privacy. Okay. Need a little bit more light?
Yeah.
Camera.
Technical difficulties. That's good. I think that's good. The windshield was the main problem.
Okay, so let's talk about driving a little bit up here. Since this is a diesel, you're going to have a wait to start light or a glow plug symbol. So when you first turn on your key, look for that little squiggly line on the left. And now I can bump my ignition and turn on the ignition. Got my tach on the right, or speedo on the left. 12,088 miles on this. The engine's been serviced. When you want to activate or deactivate some sensors like the distance warning system, you can do that on these two buttons over here. This actually has a lane keep assist, and so when it gets over into the white lines, if you're dozing off and you get off the road on the white lines, this thing will beep at you and give you an audible alert for you and let you know that. So once you're down here and you put it in drive and take off your parking brake over here, when you want to take that parking brake off, you need to lift up on the handle, push down on the thumb, and then watch your parking brake symbol, and that should go out. So a lot of people have a hard time with this. Just take it slow. When you set it, you don't want to set it back up here too hard, but enough to stop the rig and park, and then again pull back down and you release it. So I'm in drive right now. You can see down here. If I want a single step through the gears, I can just go left to right, and that'll take 1 through 5. 4, and then there's drive, so that'll put me in the overdrive, okay? Air condition, turn on the fan here on the left, recirculate button here on the right. There's the AC, dial the temperature where you need it, and then you can tell it which vent level you want, floor, medium, or up on the defrost level here. What you have here, this is simply a note holder, so if you had a business card or something, you could just put that in there like that. You got your flashers here, emergency flashers. ASR is your automatic spin reduction, which is your traction control. You can actually turn that off if for some reason you need to get both wheels spinning, maybe to get out of the mud or something like that, if you're rocking your rig out of the mud. And I do have locks for the cab doors right here that I can use. There is a tilt for the wheel, so when you pop that lever down, and it also telestops the wheel. So when you get it comfortable, lock it into place. The information center that you see up on the dash, I can hit the left-hand button, and when I go over here where it says average miles to gallon, then I can go down, and that will give me my DEF gauge. So I can actually look at the DEF fluid level that's up on the engine. So that's an important one that you can look at from right here. Then we get back to the odometer, and I can go down. You can actually check the engine oil if you're just sitting here. If the engine's not running, you can invoke that, and it'll check your oil electronically. Okay, so we're going to go down here. If you had any messages on board, any failures, any kind of engine codes, you'll get a message here on your display. And this is another menu. You can go in and set your time. You can set up lighting, your instrument cluster. You can change some things within that you want to see. Your lights, you have an auto position for the lights, and then when you put it in manual, if you pull out.
Okay. Good.
Are you good? Okay. Defroster over here on the right for your windshield, or I'm sorry, this is the mirror heat. I'm sorry, that's the mirror heat, and then your mirror controls are over here left and right. For the side view mirrors, the bottom one's a hand adjusted convex mirror, and then you got the power windows here. The windows up and down. Did you get the cruise controls on the stick here? So just pull it up to set it, down to decelerate, turn it off, push it forward, back to resume. And when you want to operate those washer wipers, you got to have the headlights in the on position when you want to do the headlight washers. I don't know if you can see that when I push this. It's going to blow up on the headlights. You'll see a big mist that comes. Okay, well, that's the center console. I've got a 12-volt receptacle here that I can use for charging, a cigarette lighter, and I've also got a 12-volt charger here below. Alrighty, and there's a little small USB adapter right here. It's in here. Back and part, pull this. You got storage up here all across the middle. Got a little microphone here, so when you do the hands-free telephone right here, when you're Bluetoothing that, you can Bluetooth your audio too, but you can also connect your phone up to it for hands-free telephone. And you can answer the phone here on the steering wheel. And any kind of volume you want to set, you can set that if you got the radio turned on here.
Featuring a legendary DJ of Eminem, Neil,
Control the volume. Okay. That's also got a CD slot in it right here at the top. You got the eject button there. And then we're going to push that and go home. And on here, radio. And you can see up here, go to radio, you can go to FM radio. Okay, there's an attenuate or a mute button there if you want to use that. You can do that. Also driving, you can just hit the hit the camera button here. If you're on radio, just hit the camera button. And you'll see the rear view camera full time, so you'll be able to watch your tow behind you or your trailer. Go back home there. And I'll tell you, the little triangle is a reset button. If you needed to reset the radio, you just press that. I'm going to hit the apps button here. I also have Sirius XM radio, and that you can subscribe to that. Subscription. You can go back to home, back to some of the apps. That's on the disc there. Okay. Just got the glove box over there on that side. And, that's it. We're done.
Thank you, Richard.
Yep.
Good.
Okay, so one last thing, we're going to put the room in. We always have to have the bed up in the travel position. The little latch here is going to go back, and you can see it. It's going to latch on the back of the metal bracket. So we want that in place so that don't go anywhere. And one more thing I did forget to show you. I've got a place here that I can access. There's a tank in here, the water pump's in here. And that's the outside access that you saw for the water filters. It's in there. Cover back on it here. And it's just your little seat there that you got. I didn't want to show them the pocket door. I did put latches on it. I didn't have any, so
Show them your handiwork.
I'll just show them how to operate it. So the pocket door, you have 2 latches right here. So you can release those 2 latches. And then the pocket door will shut for the bedroom. But when you travel, make sure you latch the latch in the top and the bottom for travel, so that thing can't rock and roll on you. Okay, I'm gonna turn the lights off here. Light master.